I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another video. There's another paid request, this time from Vonte. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any other type of videos, feel free. Or random, or topics, or reviews, or reactions, or even donations, feel free. You just send me the directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both things down below in the info box. Now this is for Suburbia, and this is a film from 1984, directed by Penelope Spheeris, who would go on to do Wayne's World, did Black Sheep with Chris Farley, and she did the decline of Western civilization movies. I guess her work on the first one, which dealt with the punk culture of 1979-1980, I just led her to directing this film, which is about sort of the punk lifestyle with this group of kids. It's kind of a punk version. I think the film was called Over the Edge, which is another film from back in the day. You know, these kids, they don't know where to go. Their parents aren't really the best. They kind of just could only rely and relate with each other. But the outsiders look at them as if they're going to be trouble. And usually these type of movies, it ends in some kind of tragedy. So it is in that sort of same vein. Now, I'll be honest. After about 5-10 minutes, I wanted to turn this movie off. I was going to say, fuck this. I was going to contact Vonte. I'd be like, you know what, man? Let me send you your money back. I don't want to watch this movie. Because the first scene I thought was too harsh and too much of a shot jock, desperate moment from the director. Because you have this lady who's a hitchhiker. She gets picked up by a woman and her baby. The car gets a flat tire. The mom goes to a phone booth. And there's a rabid dog. It grabs the baby. Shakes it around. Slams it on the ground. And I just wanted to stop the movie there. Call me a prude. Call me whatever you want. Call me I'm with cocaine. I'm like, this is mean-spirited for no goddamn reason. And really, there's no reason for that. There's no reason. Because the rest of the movie, I wouldn't call it tame, but nothing in the movie comes as close. Maybe the very end. But I mean, you have a rabid dog grabbing a baby and shaking it and killing it. It's like, come on. It's like, we need a moment to shock the audience and hook them in. And it almost did the opposite. I'm gonna say, you know, fuck this movie. I don't want to watch anymore. Man, I'm just too old for that shot jot shit. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I don't like a Serbian film. I don't like these type of fucking movies. I find them boring and lame and lazy. Oh, you got a reaction, but you did it in a very lazy way. very obvious way. And yeah, just mean-spirited, in my opinion, for no reason. But I kept going, and I'm glad I did, because it's not a bad movie. Where you're introduced to these characters, like you have this one guy whose mom is an alcoholic, is pissed at him for not taking out the garbage, smacks him around, he says to leave, says bye to his baby brother, goes to this punk concert where this woman gets clothes ripped off, and even the band is like, give her back her clothes. And the party's over, the concert's over, the kid, he can't find a place to stay, so this other guy with the sort of blonde hair says, hey, why don't you come with me? Hey dude, the snails will crawl on your face if you sleep there. And it's this guy named Jack who helps him. I didn't mind this guy, Chris Pedersen as Jack. Looking him up, I guess he only did bit parts in a couple other movies and productions. I guess he was on the TV show Baywatch for quite a few years, but I don't know as who. I guess it wasn't a bit part. But I didn't mind him. I wouldn't say he was an A+ actor, but he seemed genuine with that punk feel era. As do a decent amount of the folks. They're not great actors, but they feel a little bit genuine. I think they even have Flea for the Red Hot Chili Peppers is one of the people in this group. And they kind of take this guy in. And pretty much living in this abandoned, rundown, tract housing where they got a TV. And they relate to each other and look out for each other. But then, they still have that anger against the world. Like, they'll throw bottles at bus and go, I hate buses. Or, no, if you don't want to stay, you need a brand called TR. What does that stand for? The Rejected. And at times, they're not the most likable. But it's one of those things where I guess in order to survive, like it was the Wild West or the post-apocalyptic, I guess they don't go for jobs, so they go into people's houses and they steal food. Even at one point, they take a dead cat and put in a dryer. And that's one I'm not sure if I really like these folks. They're not really that likable. They're stealing food from innocent people. And extra effect, putting like dead cats into people's dryers, washer, dryer, whichever one it was. I'm like, these guys are kind of shits. But I thought the actors, again, it's not A great acting, but the way they related to each other. No, don't drink water. Water's no good. Drink this. Yeah, if you drink the water, and you'll be like these guys getting babies with no ears. And even the one guy gets his younger brother because his mom got into an alcoholic drug driving accident. She's in jail, so no one's going to take care of his brother, so he brings his brother over there. And they treat the younger brother well. They even shave his head, give him a mohawk. And you even have a moment that I swear to God is a predecessor to Reservoir Dogs. Like the same way it looks, where they're in slow motion, going towards the camera, and then there's a side shot with them going in slow motion. And in my head, I'm thinking, got a brand new bag. It looks almost like the same type of shots. I'm like, that's very peculiar. This was 1984. Obviously, it's not the same music, but it looked fairly the same as the shot of Reservoir Dogs. And pretty much it's a slice of life of them just trying to survive. The one guy, Jack, he has a dad who's a cop. And actually, this is kind of interesting, and I'll explain why. Number one, the cop is not a bad guy. He's a guy that means well. He's like, hey man, people are complaining about you. You know, what do you guys want to do with your life? You know, don't you guys want to go to college? And the guy is black. And I say that's interesting because, you know, it's never brought up. No one ever brings up, wait a minute, your dad is black and you're white with like blonde hair? What I mean by that, it does become some PC political issue like it would today. It just plays it like it is, and it's like, yeah, that's his dad, and you just buy into it, and that's a thing, and it's more about the situation than some fucking agenda. Which now, that would be, they push that in the case of today. If they did explain, I don't remember, but can't think of them. That's just how it is. And I say the guy means well. He's like, hey, don't you guys want to do something more with your life? And he's not being a total asshole. So, low up cop. That's not just a one-note dick. Again, refreshing. Because a lot of times in these films, that is the case with the police officer characters. More of the assholes are these two other redneck type of guys. Trying to remember when I first saw. Oh, there's a scene earlier because when Jack brings our lead kid the first time to the abandoned tract housing place, they gotta go through these wild dogs, which I guess that's what relates to the beginning of the film. And then these two rednecks are driving around shooting at these dogs. And the punch kind of stopped them, and then the cops come by to stop things even more so. It's one of those films that I don't know if it would say really has a big plot to it. It is a bit more of a slice of life. Like at one point they break into a mall to watch a bunch of TVs. They help their own out. One gets beaten up. The others come by to defend him. The girl from the beginning of the film, the hitchhiker, she's part of the group and treats the younger baby brother of our lead, fairly well. And even Flea comes by. Have you hugged your kid today? And he's got like this pet rat he always carries along with him. This guy at the store is giving a bit of hassle. So before they leave, while he's turned around, Flea like takes the slushy and puts into this glass jar with a bunch of like pickled eggs and stuff in it. And he puts it in, shakes it up, and I think he says like "Happy Easter, asshole." And even when the cops asking, well, what about college? College? Most of us can't afford money for lunch in high school. Yeah, if we didn't have each other, we wouldn't have anything. Which is really what it's supposed to be at the end of the day about, is that this is a group of kids that come from home life that isn't that great. The lead kid, an alcoholic mom. The hitchhiker girl, her dad sexually abused her. And more so. And so, even though they're living on the outskirts and they're not acting the best, and then they're stealing when they can, mainly food, they still have each other, and they still treat each other fairly well. They still depend on each other, and that's at least something noble, despite their looks, despite their outsider mentality or appearances. Anyway, it does end in a tragic note. But, like I said, Over the Edge and some of these other movies, they kind of did the same thing with that. I don't know if it needed it in this movie. Because spoiler alert, there's spoilers right now. 3, 2, 1 spoilers. What happens is I thought it was tragic enough when the one girl, the hitchhiker, she overdosed on this dope, and you find out it was a suicide. Even left a note. And then at the funeral, one of them beats up the dad because he was the one who sexually abused her, but of course that never comes into the limelight. So then these two rednecks, they decide to drive by the punks and beat them up, but then they get their asses kicked. So as a last run, the two punks decide to drive with their car, but they accidentally hit and kill the younger baby brother. Because the body goes onto the windshield, falls off, and you see in the background like the cop arrive, and he's probably going to arrest those two rednecks. But then everybody else kind of staring horrified while the lead holds his baby brother, and then the movie ends. So you don't really know what's going to happen with these, because for most of these guys, they had nowhere else to go. That was kind of the point they made previously, is that people want them to leave this abandoned building, but they have nowhere else to go, and they don't know where they're going to go. And you still don't. Because the one kid, his mom's an alcoholic in jail. The guy like Jack and Flea, like all the played by Chris Pedersen, Jack and Flea, I forget the characters. They have nowhere else to go. So if I don't know really what the message is supposed to be. They have nowhere else to go, so it's not like stop acting up, grow up. You have peanuts to your name? What? Go to college. I guess the message is that you can live the life of a punk, but there could be some vile consequences. But at the same time, that's kind of denounced in a way, because the reason the two rednecks wanted to go fight them was because they heard about the fight at the funeral, and the reason the fight at the funeral happened was because this asshole dad sexually abused his daughter. But in a way, they're punished for trying to pick a fight with a sexually abusing piece of shit at a funeral. It's just... Maybe there's no other point other than just a little bit of a tragic ending at the end. I don't know. I didn't mind some of the actors for what they were doing. Again, they weren't great performances, but they felt a little genuine for what kind of punch they were playing. Again, it's decent like slice of life type of movie, like Over the Edge or some of those flicks. It's not something I would ever watch again. It took a bit to like some of these characters, and then you start realizing again how they react to each other, how you really do get the feeling that this group of people do care for each other. So when they do say the line, if we didn't have each other, we wouldn't have anything, you buy it. You do buy it. Maybe not the line reading, because the guy, pretty flat line reading. Like I said, these actors are not the best. But, I don't know, the way they react, the way, again, they interact with each other. I bought that they were a unit, so to speak. And overall, yeah, again, not a bad film. There was nothing really rant-worthy. Well, the beginning. And the first 5 minutes or so. Like, all the rest I described, well, until, like, the very end, but... Part of me wished that if you just... if you twisted a couple stuff... I don't know, it just... I think if you twisted the beginning and the ending of the film, and I don't know, maybe if some of the punts you had a couple better actors, give a bit of emotion or a less awkward wooden in their delivery of dialogue, I think it'd be even better. That's just me. But overall, it's not a bad film. It's one of it's hard to review because it's not really a story. There is a story, but it's not... It's kind of a slice of life type of flick. So, I guess if you're into Penelope Spheeris, you want to see her filmography. Like I said, if you're into films like Over the Edge, or if you want to watch, people living a punk lifestyle, the ups and downs of that, feel free to check it out. Again, there's much worse movies than that, aside from in the beginning of the film. But with that said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.